Hi, I'm Steve Johnson, owner of Virtuosity.
And I'm Christan Griego, and I'm from Edwards Getson Instrument Company and the owner of Griego Mouthpieces.
Today we're going to talk about something that doesn't get discussed a lot, and that's mouthpiece engagement. Christan, tell us what mouthpiece engagement really is and what it means to our horns.
Well, mouthpiece engagement isn't a thing unless you're a trumpet player. Now, if you're a trumpet player, there are vast forums and all sorts of knowledge out there. But if you're a trombone player or a low brass player in general, we kind of forget about it. And when we talk about engagement, it's the distance your mouthpiece goes into your lead pipe. On a trumpet, people will mark it, and on a trombone, I actually do this all the time when I'm doing design. I'll make a mouthpiece, and one of the first things I check in order to set the response is the engagement. I have certain mouthpieces that are 940. I have other mouthpieces that are 1 inch or 1.050. How far it goes into my lead pipe gauges. Some people use Morse gauges when they're making mouthpieces, which is fine. Other people use lead pipes, which is fine, as long as they have a standard. And so what I'll do is I have a set of Edwards Getson lead pipes that I keep in a drawer. I have Yamaha lead pipes. I have Shire's lead pipes. I'm not only checking the engagement, I'm also checking to make sure that the mouthpiece doesn't rock. If the mouthpiece rocks, that's a terrible interface. And so a lot of times when a customer comes in, I'll grab their mouthpiece and I'll look at the back, and if it's out of round, it's always going to rock because you've created a high point when you made that dent or that flat spot, and that flat point is going to hit the lead pipe first, and then you're going to get an incorrect seal. So the engagement, the farther in you go on the lead pipe, the wider the sound, the freer blowing. That sounds great, right? I want the most free-blowing instrument possible. That is, until you have no compression in the upper register, because the air is dumping down too fast, and then you're having to compress, and then the sound gets small, even though you're playing big. Cup diameter, cup volume, large throats. It doesn't matter. At a certain point, it will then back up because we create the compression that was needed. The inverse, the farther out the mouthpiece goes, the bigger the gap between the end of the mouthpiece and the venturi that's in the lead pipe. So you have the receiver, the venturi, the smallest point in the lead pipe, and then that dictates the rate of taper. If you have a large venturi, you're gonna have a slower rate of taper. You have a small venturi, usually you have a faster rate of taper into the bore of the instrument. It gets a little complicated here because the longer the lead pipe, the more focus you can get. Trombone or trumpet, it's the same. Mm-hmm. Reverse lead pipes, how do they play compared to traditional?
Reverse lead pipes are traditionally much more open feeling, a lot more free blowing.
Yeah, it's a lot longer pipe. It's also, you get into the philosophy behind the lead pipe design. Some will have a step where the venturi is at, and you'll have a physical chamber from the end of the mouthpiece to the venturi. Mm-hmm. Others, like Shoki, everything's chamfered and really smooth throughout. I believe Yamaha does a lot of this as well. Mm-hmm. Now this is trumpet, but on trombone, most are smooth down and all the way back. But we have a couple instruments right behind here, and I'm just I've literally been here 5 minutes, and like this one right here, I'm gonna stick it in this lead pipe. You can see how far in it goes, and that's about 1 inch. And 1 inch is kind of the industry standard. That's not set in stone, because you have others that are 1.25 inches, like some of the new Yamahas or Shire's. The lead pipes go in very far. Then we had over here, we have this instrument, and in comparison, you can see that this goes in quite a bit farther. You can see this goes in probably 1 3/8 inches. Now, a 3/8 difference, that's huge. Now, I can tell you how that instrument's gonna blow. It has an all nickel slide, it has yellow and a rose bell. I can actually tell you how it's gonna blow and feel on the face for somebody.
So when we talk about engagement, when we are getting an instrument that has more engagement versus less engagement, what is the actual playing effect on that?
This, with deeper engagement, is going to blow much freer. It's going to feel more open. Mm-hmm. On the face, in the mid-register down. But as you ascend, it may become too open.
Okay.
And so when you come back to a 1 inch engagement, the ideal engagement is the one where you can play, I always just say 2 octaves, and I actually go to a D scale, not a B flat scale, on a trombone. And my logic is that upper D partial can want to ride flat, and if you can get that note to actually center and feel good on the instrument, I don't know if it's ever going to feel good, but if you can get it to resonate to where it sounds good out to the audience, that's a good place to start. But I'm really cognizant of that. If the engagement is too deep, and the upper register starts sinking, then you're going to have to lift that partial up. And it doesn't matter if acoustics of sound, you can't change it. You can't change physics. And so that's why I always focus on the D scale. Does that make any sense?
Makes a little bit of sense to me. I'm a trumpet player, but obviously that, it's a well thought out process for what you've been dealing with, fitting people with instruments to their mouthpieces to their instrument, rather.
And the physics for trumpet are the same. Every instrument, the open series, to me, is the same.
So that really translates into gap theory for trumpet.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's exactly what I'm talking about. Is engagement is gap theory.
So certainly the mouthpiece engagement or gap is something you really want to consider when matching a mouthpiece to your instrument or your instrument to your mouthpiece. Certainly make sure that you're trying different brands, different blank styles. I know the Griego mouthpieces come in 3 different blanks.
Yeah.
And those are kind of designed with this in mind. Am I correct?
Yes, you have the Deco, which has more mass. You have the New York, which is a traditional all-around, well-rounded mouthpiece. And then you have a very lightweight blank with the Nouveau. And my logic with that is that there are certain instruments that are very wide and open, and they need a little bit of focus, and the Deco is going to bring that focus in. The New York is going to work on a myriad of styles and is the safe bet. And if you go to the lightweight blank, it's for instruments that have more compression and are tighter blowing and need help getting more blossom and resonance in the sound.
It's always great to have more options, and definitely make sure you're trying out a variety of mouthpieces when you're trying to match one to your horn. Should we try that again?
Sure.
Okay.
So I was like, who am I? Okay. Your hair looks great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Here's those two. You got the
All
flow going and
right, I
everything.
got the mullet going for you, just for you.
Jesus.
Speak with discretion.
My wife said no, so I said yes. My daughter said yes too, though. She was like, "Yes, Dad, you should do it." So I'm going with the 14-year-old because they always make great decisions.